LeBron James and the Lakers visiting Joel Embiid and the Sixers. Whew. That right there, just that shot is cool. And it really was a good, precursor to what the night ended up being in Philadelphia. Look at everybody honoring Kobe and Gigi. Custom shoes, that was Joel Embiid. And before the game, a moment of silence for Kobe Bryant on the one-year anniversary of his death. A Philly native, of course, LeBron showing up in the first half and then some with the Lakers down 8. Shoving through that lane there, some contact. He drives on Furkan Korkmaz and lays it in. He had 16 points in the paint in the first half. That tied for his most in any half since joining the Lakers. And he takes that Ben Simmons, finishing that through contact. 22 points, 9 of 13 in the first half. That's the third straight half with at least 20 points, tying the longest streak in his last 10 seasons. Remember everybody talking about him for MVP? That's why. How about this? Embiid goes up for the dunk. LeBron, you see the contact? And Embiid, that's a big man falling hard to the floor. He is in some pain. LeBron speaking with the referee over his role in the fall. We've seen LeBron do that a time or two. He'd get up, he'd be okay, but here's what Embiid had to say after.
You look at it, that's a very dangerous play. And I guarantee you that if it was me, I would have probably been ejected.
Well, he stayed in the game. Embiid would keep going too. Get some space here to knock down the three. There you go. He's grimacing, so he's still hurting. And if you're as big as Embiid is and you fall to the floor like that, you'd probably be hurting too. Sixers go up by 9 to the fourth quarter, up a dozen. Ben Simmons hits Danny Green in transition. Ben Simmons is 17-point triple-double. There you go. About a minute to play. It's a 4-point game. LeBron drives, kicks it to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in the corner for 3. Yes. So it's a 1-point game. Home team still up. 15 seconds to go. Here's LeBron. Look at that pass to a cutting Anthony Davis for the layup. So the Lakers went on a 13-0 run to take the lead with 11.2 seconds left. That one hurt if you're Philly. Again, up 1. Who has the last shot? The Sixers do. Tobias Harris. Matched up on Alex Caruso, and watch Tobias. Pull up Jay to take the lead. Lakers, they don't have any timeouts. Davis gets the inbounds, and he throws up a half-court shot here. I mean, he tries. Not much else he could do there. Good D by the Sixers. They win by 1. Embiid had 28 and 6. LeBron 34, 6 and 6. What a battle it was. Here's Doc Rivers after.
They showed at the end of the game like champions. It's hard to kill them. Like, they just keep coming back. They keep believing. They kept making shots. It says that we're a good team. But for me, it says that we're really good, but we still have a lot of work still.
It's a really good team that they put together. I give a lot of credit to Ellen Brand and the things that they're doing here. Obviously Doc has always won pretty much wherever he's been, and he got him playing some really good basketball. So, we see as the season goes on, there's going to be a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference that's going to play championship basketball down the stretch. I know they believe that they're one of those teams.
And they should. If the Sixers could just play every game at home, Matt, they'd be unstoppable. Because since the start of last season, they're a ridiculous 39-3 at home, including 10-1 so far this season. That win, by the way, again, it's a big one. It also snapped the Lakers' streak of 10 straight road wins to start the season, and that was a franchise record for the Lakers. Let's now welcome in NBA champion Matt Barnes, who also, you guys know this at home, he played 14 seasons in the NBA, and yes, 2 with Doc Rivers as your Clippers head coach. Matt, thanks for joining us here in SportsCenter. Good to have you. Thanks for waking up so early. I know you're out west. Let's talk specifically about Doc. Why is he having so much success really immediately with Ben Simmons, with Joel Embiid, and this entire Sixers team?
Doc is a great motivator and inspirer, and I think he's just out there encouraging these guys to be themselves. And I think it obviously starts with Joel Embiid. He's playing at a MVP level. Ben Simmons is flirting around a triple-double every single game. But I think the key to this team is going to be Tobias Harris. And you remember, Tobias Harris had his best year as a pro with Doc Rivers as the Clippers coach. So Tobias Harris looks very comfortable out there. He kind of seems like the go-to guy down the stretch, which Jimmy Butler used to be. Tobias Harris is stepping in that role. And like I said, I think he's the key to that team because they need someone down the stretch that can get him a bucket, and Tobias Harris is definitely that guy.
Yeah, you hear everybody saying Embiid and Simmons, but you say Tobias Harris. With the win last night, Matt, Philly now officially has the best record in the Eastern Conference after winning 7 of their last 8. What do you think? How do you think this plays out? You got Milwaukee and Giannis, of course, and the Big 3 in Brooklyn starting to gel a little bit. How does this play out in the long run?
I think it's going to be competitive. We're still, a month and a half into the season. There's still a lot of season to play, but I love what I'm seeing from there. Just hoping with Philly that Embiid can stay healthy. When he fell yesterday, I felt that out in LA. Felt a little minor earthquake under me. So I think the key is obviously keeping him healthy. But the East is strong. We always just look to the Western Conference as the dominant conference, but the East is definitely holding its own with Milwaukee. And then look out for Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn's starting to slowly but surely gel on the offensive end, still have some holes on the defensive end, but it's going to be fun coming down the stretch in the Eastern Conference.
And we're just getting going, talking Brooklyn Nets with you, Matt. I know you're coming back later on SportsCenter for more on that. Matt Barnes and his beautiful two twin boys kind of joining us right behind you. We love them. Tell them hi, Matt. Thank you. See you in a little bit.
Will do.
As Sage referenced, he'll come back to talk about the Nets, who are starting a road trip. Why this...
Sage, as you pointed out, the biggest issue with this team is the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. And hiring David Culley, through no fault of David Culley's own, is not going to change anything with Deshaun Watson. I don't know that it would have been any different had the organization hired somebody like Eric Bieniemy, or had the organization hired somebody like Jim Caldwell, who's such good friends with Tony Dungy, and maybe they could have perhaps tried to change Deshaun Watson's mind. But David Culley, again, is not going to be able to change Deshaun Watson's mind. So David Culley steps into a situation where the house is on fire, frankly, where the general manager, Nick Caserio, took the job, not knowing that the biggest issue that he would be facing would be the one with Deshaun Watson. And so this is a whole mess right now that the organization has to try to figure out its way out of, and there's no easy way out, none, whatever path they decide to choose.
And once again, according to the reports from you and from Chris Mortensen weeks ago, Deshaun Watson wanted out regardless of who they brought in to be the new head coach of the Texans franchise. It's a franchise definitely in flux on the field and upstairs on the executive business side for sure. They're starting over. Adam, thank you. Matt, let's keep it going.
Thank you, Sage.
Yeah, I want to talk with Marcus Spears about this because I want to go player's perspective. Deshaun Watson comes out, wants out, demands a trade. He's still under contract. Texans don't have to acquiesce to that request. Spears, is it at least not on Deshaun Watson to at the very least, have a conversation with David Culley to find out if this is someone that could potentially change his mind and want to stay?
No, Matt, unfortunately. And I do believe that Culley would be able to tell Deshaun some great things that he wanted to hear and needed to hear. But this is about ownership and front office. This is well beyond the coaching staff and the players on that team. And I'm sure Deshaun Watson is respected and guys around him understand. I'm sure he's had conversations with some of his teammates. But when you get to the point where you have an owner and a quarterback seeing differently and not seeing eye to eye, and there's some fundamental problems with how they do business when it comes to Deshaun Watson's future as far as putting him in a position to be successful, it really has nothing to do with the coach. And I understand it. I understand where you're getting at with that question, because sometimes we can add things and a guy can come in, especially David Culley, all of the things that I've heard about him. I called Lou Riddick this morning, and Lou was telling me about how well respected he is and how guys love him in the locker room. Black and white players go to him for life advice. He's had that type of mantra, that type of MO throughout his career in the league. He's tenured. He has the ability to put together a good coaching staff. But Deshaun Watson has a fundamental problem with Cal McNair and the front office with the Houston Texans. And I don't believe that a coach can change that situation. Obviously, he's the owner of the team. But when it comes to trying to work with the Houston Texans and feeling like you want to be the quarterback for the Houston Texans, it never really had anything to do with who the head coach was for Deshaun Watson. It was all about the ownership and the front office position.
Well, should they move on from him, ownership and the GM has a stockpile of quarterbacks in and around the league that are going to be available. But can they match Deshaun Watson as the only player in NFL history with at least 100 touchdown passes and 15 rushing touchdowns in his first 4 seasons? Marcus Spears is going to be spending the afternoon with us today on SportsCenter. Moving on now, we are officially 10 days away from Tampa and Tommy and Super Bowl 55. The Buccaneers beginning their workouts in preparation for next Sunday's Super Bowl. It's been a season unlike any other. Chiefs will stay in Kansas City for the rest of the week and most of next week. Tampa gets the home game. They get the workout today, but first in Super Bowl history staying home. Packers, they eliminated them on Sunday. So here is the schedule with workouts beginning today. We'll be hearing from both coaches and several players this afternoon. Bucs head coach Bruce Arians speaking in less than an hour. We're going to have highlights from that press conference for you later on SportsCenter. Then the Chiefs at 2 Eastern. There's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Tyrann Mathieu. All of this going to be so much different than we've seen in the past, Sage, with all of it being virtual. Tom Brady meets the media at 2:30 Eastern. So we officially begin preparation for Super Bowl 55.
LeBron James and the Lakers visiting Joel Embiid.